This is the Original Outdoors Podcast. Richard Predo. Interviews, tips, news, reviews from people who live and work in the outdoors. The Original Outdoors Podcast. And now, your host, Richard Predo.
So hello, welcome to episode 6 of the Original Outdoors Podcast. I'm Richard Predo, the host, and I'm sat about 300, 400 metres up, maybe a little bit more.
About 400.
On the side of a mountain called Moel Siabod, which is just south of Capel Cerrig in North Wales, so on the edge of Snowdonia National Park. And I'm sat next to a gentleman called Jason Rawles, who is continuing on our long theme of interviewing people I know, interesting people who live and work in the outdoors. This is someone I've been wanting to get together with for a while, so we've been arranging to meet up and do this interview and go out for a walk and things, and through work and other things it's not come off until now. So here we are, the very beginning of February.
Here we are.
Yeah, surrounded by snow. The microphone is strapped to the top of an ice axe, shoved into the snowpack on the floor.
Onto the slate.
Yeah, we're on the edge of a ruined slate quarry. So if you know this side of Moel Siabod, you know exactly where we are. So I want to say welcome and hello to Jason.
Thank you and hello.
So Jason, tell us who you are. Where do you live? What do you do?
It's always one of those tough subjects, isn't it? Because it's the subject I know the most, but it's also the most awkward to talk about. So I live in Llanberis. I moved up here just under 2 years ago. Moved up from just north of London, a county called Hertfordshire, where I lived, pretty much all my life. And a couple of years ago just decided to make a few life changes, and realising life really is fundamentally too short. Why not pursue a passion in mountaineering and a want to make some money from it, as many others do, and see where it takes me, really. And that was kind of it, 2 years ago.
So you're an outdoor instructor, aren't you?
Yeah. I started up my own business. I think mountaineering instructor is probably a bit, considering the quals of MIA and MIC, it is very much what I want to do is experience based. So taking people out for sunsets, sunrises, ridge lines, that kind of stuff, rather than talk about it from an instruction perspective, because that then really covers from a qualifications side of things.
For our listeners around the world who aren't familiar with the UK qualifications, there's no legal requirement to have a qualification to lead adults in the outdoors in the UK for most of the time, but in reality no one does it without a qualification, because you can't get insured, and you have a duty of care towards those people you're leading. So
very much so.
They separate out the qualifications. Leading people in the mountains in a walking and sort of scrambling environment without technical rope skills is separated then from the technical rope skills. So we have the Mountain Leader Awards, Summer and Winter Mountain Leader, and then we have the Mountaineering Instructor Awards. So that's why Jason mentioned the difference in terminology there. But it's not the same around the world, is it? 'Cause if you go to America, they've got their own system there.
Yeah, very much so, and that leads into international mountaineering stuff as well. Yeah, which is of interest. But so being up here for a couple of years, it's really just figuring out where my brand is, where I want to position it, have fun, enjoy life. At the end of the day, that's the main reason why I've come up here, is to make the most of. I'm 40 years old now. Hopefully, there's a few miles left on the clock. So hopefully, I can enjoy work a bit less. I know I'll earn a bit less as well, but life's too short, really. And that kind of, without going, I can talk about the history of what I used to do, but that's what leads me to North Wales.
I think suffice to say, you were in a business. You were in quite big business, weren't you? In sort of the corporate world. Yeah.
I was there for a long time. So I've had quite a diverse career, really. Leaving school, I went to join the military, but I snapped my leg really bad, and they wouldn't let me into the parachute regiment. I then, in my petulant state, decided that being a butcher was the next thing to do.
The obvious next step.
The obvious next step was to be a butcher. I love that. I think that's why I'm the size that I am. I just basically used to eat steak and meat all the time. Then I was a postman. I've been a dustman. I've made lampshades. I've worked in a warehouse. And then I found a company that I really enjoyed, and they put a lot of personal development into me, and I progressed through project management, business development, and into the world of sales. and that's how I ended up in the big corporate environment. As I left the corporate world, flying around the world first class, doing huge multi-million-dollar deals. But likewise, what come with that was lost contact with all my family, all my friends, became a bit of a corporate monster, and all the levels of integrity and humility that come with it. And I had to make some life changes to readjust. I was in a bad relationship, just things weren't going too well from a human perspective, so made a few changes.
Sorry, I'm taking photos in the background there. I can hear the shutter noise.
I try to hide behind bits of slate.
Well, you say the size, it's fair to say Jason and I are of similar builds. If you see photos of me, you can get an idea of the...
There's a few kilograms between us.
Yeah. So, what was your... You had quite a varied career there, in every sense of the word.
Yeah.
Where did the outdoors come for you? Where did that come in?
It started. I was in the cadets from a very early age.
Which cadets?
Air cadets in.
I was air cadets.
Air cadets in St Albans.
Kicked out.
Yeah. And we used to spend a lot of time going out into the mountains. It was probably one weekend or 2 weekends in every month we'd be away, and that's where I really found my love for being outdoors. I spent a lot of time out in the hills until I was probably 23, 24. My first car was ragging up and down to the Lake District or over to the as much as I could with what I had, and then my career just really took over. It goes from 1 weekend a month to one every 3 months to one in every 6 months, to losing a bit of priority. And as part of some of the life readjustment, I took myself back out into the hills and just found my love for it again. And you suddenly realise that as you're a bit older, you got a bit more cash, so you can go a bit further. You can then get out to the Alps. You can go to Nepal. The world becomes a bit broader than when you're 20 years old with about 15 quid, and of that all disappears on petrol. So I kind of, there's probably a 10-12 year period where I was very career focused, and now I found my love for it again, and want to come back and see where I make that living, just enough to be able to live and fill the fridge up with food and keep the lights on. It really is. It's changed. It's how can I've gone from how can I earn as much as I possibly can to how can I live with as little as I possibly can.
It's a different pace of life then in the change.
Very much so. Working in the global capacity, it would be signing a deal in Singapore to having to be in Hamburg for another negotiation, to go and do some tax deal in Luxembourg, to come back to Ireland for another tax deal, to then go over to East Coast US to go and be with head office to deal with paperwork, to then fly back to the UK, to then fly back to Hong Kong, to then come back to Europe, to then fly to California. And I was just on the move all the time. It was a great lifestyle. I mean, don't get me wrong, at the time it was absolutely wonderful. I'm like 32 years old, flying around the world first class. But it bred a bit of a monster in me, if I'm honest.
I suspect you're living that travelling thing, which I know a few people are doing it, and there might be someone listening to this podcast now doing the same thing.
Yeah.
That you're flying around the world, but you're not seeing the world. You're seeing an airport, and then a taxi, and then a building, and then a taxi, and then the airport.
Very much so. I couldn't name any places in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
I've been to some nice restaurants there. I can't say that I've immersed myself in the culture of Asia.
But you know which way to turn to get baggage claim.
But I know where to go to baggage reclaim for.
It's something we hear quite a lot in this kind of work, and I've got friends who've approached the outdoors from that direction, and you've probably seen the same, where people have come to it as we mentioned earlier, sort of second life, or this is through doing the rest of their life and through the way they worked before, they decided what they wanted to do, so they came to the outdoors with that background, but they wanted to. They decided, you'd accept a lower income, but for a better quality of life.
Yeah, very much so.
Or in terms of what you want.
Yeah, you're right. I think there's a very clear divide between a younger generation that are still learning about business, but they have a very strong outdoors background because they've been doing it, going through qualifications since sort of 16, versus, me at 40. And I understand now what's important to me, where I'm at in my life, and what I need to be able to progress, and I can apply my business mind to that. So I'm a businessman now in the outdoors rather than someone in the outdoors trying to figure out how to apply that to a business. Yeah,
because there's a scales of economy there that you can, to be doing well in the outdoors and have to be wealthy in terms of an outdoor instructor or as an outdoor business is a completely different scale to other areas, isn't it? No one's earning 300 or 400 grand a year doing this kind of work, or that is the vast minority. But you can live a quite comfortable lifestyle doing this, can't you?
Yeah, I believe so. I strongly believe so. As part of my planning, in terms of what do I need to be able to live, what do I want to be able to have fun, and then how do I plan around that, because it's quite easy if I want to earn a set amount of money to then break that down into more component parts and then plan around those. So within my business model of numbers of days outdoors, do I want to run a certain type of experiences and challenges, and how do I apply that to maybe the leadership evolution and team efficiency side of things. So it's a lot easier for me, because of my experiences in how I've run businesses before, to be able to document, plan and then execute upon that, and having some clarity rather than just the kind of it's like wading through deep snow. Do you make an efficient route through, or do you just continue to plough on and expend loads of effort? So it's having that experience in the business world is it's paying off. I'm pleasantly surprised at how it's going, but I also think that's down to the warmth of the people around me, and people being extremely nice and helping, giving me those opportunities as well. So I'm very humble to that. But likewise, I've got a very clear plan, and it's now down to me to go and execute upon that, and just trust and believe in what I can do.
Yeah, because we had a good talk on the way up here, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Comparing businesses and looking at things we found that work and tools that we can recommend to each other. I think that's it's just like being on an expedition or something like that. You've got to surround yourself with a good team of people that you can not come to rely on for every single thing. You've got to have a good degree of self-reliance, but it's nice to know that there are other people out there doing the same thing who can help you, or you can help each other. And I find a cooperative attitude to anything in the outdoors, including outdoor business, is the way forward.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. People have dark days, people have good days. It's when you're having those good days, what can you do to help pull people around you? Yeah. But that will also then lean heavily on the trust and integrity that I mentioned before, because when you do open yourself up with intellectual property, soul searching, you've had those heartfelt moments where you actually suddenly find something that you believe is different, and then you open that up to someone, and then suddenly you find it on the internet that someone else is doing that you've trusted. That's when it gets when it reminds me very much of my old life in sales, where the integrity and trust just disappears. But in general, I found people, like yourself, Ross, Kate, have become very, very good friends, and I've had some pretty dark times, when I've missed the things that I could do, but I can't now because, commercially I'm in a different place. Yeah. But to know that there's someone that you can go and have a brew with, or someone you can choose some ideas that you can actually trust and believe in. I'm very, very humbled by the time that I've spent in North Wales in general. Yeah,
it's a special place, and it's why we've mentioned before on the podcast, and you can see it on our YouTube channel as well. We try and give people a glimpse of why we choose to live where we do, and it's a special place. We've got this link between the mountains and the sea here, where you can turn one way and end up on some world-class coastlines with huge soaring rocky cliffs and these white mile-long beaches, and then go the other way. And where we are now, we're on a mountain, so it's just shy of 3,000 feet.
Yeah, it's like 210 feet shy of 3,000,
something like that. So it's again, for people listening around the world, if you're saying, well, that's not very high at all, you can live in a desert and be tens of thousands of feet up above sea level. But the thing in the UK is our mountains aren't that big, but sea level is only normally a few miles away, so you can have the same amount of ascent in a day that you have as a big day in the Rockies or in the Alps or something like that, on a mountain that's rocky, without trees, well into the snow line here, and we're only an hour from the valley. You can have the same sort of mountain experience in the UK, and often something that's tougher to anything else you find in the world, particularly if you compare it to the Cairngorms or somewhere like that. You can get those experiences here in the UK and here in Wales, but still live in a 21st century lifestyle and have, they just announced that they're opening 3 more Subway stores in North Wales. So that's civilization.
Right, I'm sold.
Corporate civilization,
I'm sold. I need a Starbucks.
Yeah. Well, a Costa coffee came to Ruthin last year or the year before, and it was revolutionary.
It's like paying this much for coffee.
Yeah. Okay, so we've this is an outdoors podcast, and so we've talked a lot about the business side of things up until now. So let's talk about where we are. As we mentioned before, we're on the side of Moel Siabod. We're on the south-facing slope, as you can see the sun's behind us, shining down on the slope. We're in an old quarry, so an old slate quarry, which is stopped working just shy of 100 years ago, I think it was. So what are we planning to do?
What of the southeast ridgeline?
Yeah. Dia thee. Neither of us are native Welsh first language, so apologise to anyone who's we just listened to his butcher the language there, but Dai the black ground. It means when you look at it from a distance, you can really see why these big black slabby rocks sticking up like a sort of the spine of a crocodile or something like that, isn't it? Sticking out the side of the mountain.
I did shy away from the Welsh pronunciation there and just go straight in for the southeast ridge, just before I got absolutely annihilated. So I'm trying. I'm learning and being respectful to the language, but sometimes the odd mistake creeps in. Yeah, it's a beautiful sunny day, nice, almost cloudless sky above us. Very nice. Yeah, Pete's a good day.
And something about this, it's a fantastic place. It looks stunning, but it's as with any mountain environment, you've got to be prepared for that. You've got to be prepared for that environment and for the risks that can present themselves. So we're both well kitted. We've both got sort of 40-litre rucksacks with or thereabouts. So between us, we've both got ice axe and crampons. Both got boots that are suitable for carrying them. If you want to get technical, I've got Les Sportiva Nepals with an external gaiter, and you've got
the Mammoth Eiger Nordstroms.
Yeah, so if you've got anyone who really loves the outdoors, you tend to find them, even if they don't want to, they'll start talking about kit eventually. And you're dressed head to toe in Paramo, I think.
I am, yes. After joining Mountain Rescue, I got introduced to Paramo kit and finding myself absolutely loving it.
It's I use a lot of it as well. I'm not wearing any of it now at the moment.
So you love it.
Yeah,
where is it?
I've got a jacket in there somewhere. But I love Paramo because it's a unique type of system. And if you're not used to how it works compared to a normal hard shell like Gore-Tex or Event or something like that, it can take you a bit of getting used to. You might remain slightly damp all the time, but you'll never be cold and damp. I find.
Exactly.
It's like warm and damp. You get this sort of microclimate on the go, don't you?
Yeah, it's not bad.
It works a bit like animal fur, so it takes the moisture from the inner layer and pushes it to the outside, hopefully without letting it back in. And other kit, we've both got group shelter.
We got group shelter. We got suitable first aid to be able to look after us both. So we both got warm kit. We got protection if needed. We got flask. Yeah, we got water. We got food, spare gloves, hat.
Yeah.
So we had a good chat about that before we came on the hill, just to make sure between the pair of us that we've got everything we need. Yeah, and that's the diligent right thing to do, and talk about potential conditions.
Not carrying too much gear as well. And there's the blog on our website about sort of this myth that you need a massive knife with you wherever you go. So, I've seen people up on Snowdon carrying a knife that would put Rambo to shame.
It's like Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, so that's not a knife. This is a knife. But who? I don't know why they're carrying that or what that's for. So it's something we try and teach on our courses as well. That you got to look at what you can do with that kit in that environment. So I think the knife I've got is that tiny Opinel sort of folding one down there. That's somewhere on the outside of my rucksack, and I wouldn't take anything more than that into the mountains. I don't think. No, not at all. Not at all. I'm not going to be wrestling any polar bears or.
No, it's like fending off the alligator. You're not going to need that around here.
No. So the appropriate. We've got the gear. We've got a reasonable amount of gear, but it's appropriate to the environment. So I'd be quite confident with what I've got in my rucksack that I could survive an uncomfortable night out.
Yep.
Temperatures drop below zero again tonight, and we're stuck up high on the mountain for whatever reason.
Yep.
I'm quite happy I could pass an uncomfortable night where I'd rather be at home in bed, but I would be alive and well coming out the other side of it. So we've got. Let's move on, and we'll move on further up the hill. We asked on our Facebook page last night if anybody had any questions that they wanted me to ask Jason, and is one of our outdoor experts. So we'll plough onto those in the next section. But for now, we're going to put rucksacks back on.
Let's go for it.
Head on up the hill there.
The Original Outdoors Podcast. Interviews, tips, news and reviews from people who live and work in the outdoors.
Hi, it's Richard from Original Outdoors. Sorry to drag you away from the podcast, but I just want to talk to you about some of the course dates we've got coming up in the next couple of months. I want to start with on the 21st and 22nd of February, we have our basic navigation course. Now, this is £85 per person for the whole weekend. We are running this in northeast Wales, so the first day is in the Horseshoe Pass area, just north of Llangollen, and the second day is on the Moel area. And through this course, we can take you from being a complete novice who knows nothing about how to use a map and compass to somebody who can confidently read a map, plan a route, use a compass, measure distance through pacing, timing, and a few other techniques, and as well as some emergency relocation techniques. This is the course to go on to if you're looking to start navigating yourself and navigating your own way across the hills and the forests in the UK. We have got, following on from that, on the Saturday the 28th of February, we have our GPS training course. Now this is £55 per person it's a one-day course, and this is for people who've either got a GPS already and you switch it on and you look at the screen and you're not entirely sure what's going on, and you turn it off again and you think, what am I going to do with this? Or people who are looking to buy a GPS and want to know if they're going to get what they want out of it. So through this course we go from the very basics. We teach you how a GPS works, some of the common functions, and then we start going down into how to use the GPS device you've got, or we look at other GPS devices you can buy, and then put it all together into a day of navigation and look at some of the really specific skills of using a GPS that don't really come in with normal map and compass navigation. Following on from that, on Sunday the 1st of March, we have our first Bushcraft Basics course of the year. These courses are £75 per person. This course is nearly full now. I think we've got 2 places left on it. Might even be just 1 place now. With this course, we start off with how to light fires and how to light fires reliably in all conditions using a variety of methods. We then start talking about clothing and equipment, everything from what to wear, so you make sure you stay safe, warm and dry in all conditions, how to use cutting tools, how to sharpen them, how to use axes, knives, saws and a few other items, what to take with you, what not to take with you, which is sometimes more important. And then we move on to cooking, how to find food, water, how to make water safe, shelters, or whether it's something you bring with you like a tarp or a hammock or a bivy bag or a tent, or how to make an improvised shelter in lots of different environments. You'll then go on to build a shelter, and then you bring all these skills together and revisit them all before the end of the day. This is a teaching course. We want to make sure that everybody who attends the course learns and gets what they want from it. On Saturday the 14th of March we have our natural navigation course, which is £65 per person. This course takes place on the edge of the Clwydian Range area of outstanding natural beauty. It's somewhere, if you haven't visited, it's really worth a visit just for that alone. We go through how to navigate across the landscape without using a map and compass, using the natural clues and signs that we can find around us. So this course, I can promise that after this course you will be spending the next few days, weeks, months constantly spotting all of these little signs that we'll tell you about that have been there right in front of your eyes without you realising it, whether the direction a tree's growing, the shape of a tree, even down to which way the satellite dishes are pointing on houses. So this is a fantastic day. You can read a course report and write up from our last course on our website, originaloutdoors.co.uk. On Sunday the 15th of March we have our first coastal foraging walk of the year. This is at Dinas Dinta, which is near Carnarvon on the North Wales coast, just opposite Anglesey. It's £45 per person, and on this walk we'll cover everything that we can find that's edible and a few things that we won't find on a bit of coast, but we'll talk about how you can get your hands on them and how you can safely find them and prepare them. On 21st and 22nd of March we have our first outdoor first aid course of the year. This is a 16-hour outdoor first aid course that's suitable for NGB awards, so Mountain Leader and different kayaking awards. And so if you're wanting to become an outdoor instructor, or you already are, this is a perfect course for you. But even if you're not becoming an outdoor instructor or an outdoor professional, you need to come on this course. Everybody should know the basics of first aid, and this course we bring in Wayne from Black Hill Training, and Wayne's just fantastic. Military, mountain rescue, different outdoor experience. This guy's been and done it all, and he will teach you some real life-saving skills. And that's £140 per person. And then finally we have on the 28th and 29th of March we have the Woodcrafter course. This is a weekend wilderness skills course where we build on everything that we teach in the Bushcraft Basics course. We revisit some of the same skills, but we take them on to the next level and really move them up a step. So we go into how to live for more sustained periods of time, preparing game, look at a few things like trapping and a few emergency survival techniques. And throughout this, you will be living and working in our 90-acre private woodland. So when it comes to the evening, we finish our tasks for the day, and just before evening dinner, we wander down to the river, go and wash in the river, wander back up, sit around the campfire all evening, and then you'll be sleeping in shelters that you spent the first day building. It's a special course. Go and have a look at our Facebook page, or have a look at our website and have a look at the photos on there. And then we have, in the very beginning of April, on the Saturday the 4th of April, we have our first foraging and wild foods course. This, I think, is probably our most popular course. We started off years ago running a couple of courses a year. Now we run about 12 dates a year. This is £60 per person, and it will take you from how to identify plants, the plants we can find at this time of year and in this location, and then how to find the same plants at home, how to identify plants and other fungi and other edible things that you're going to find in the outdoors. And then we look at game preparation, and not only identification and a few of the names and stories and folklore behind these things, we also show you how to cook them, and you'll be spending the last half of the course around a campfire cooking and preparing the things we've gathered during the day. So there you have it. Those are some of our advertised courses for the next couple of weeks. If you want to find out more information, to book your place, or just to get in touch with us, you can do it all through our website, which is originaloutdoors.co.uk, and you can follow the links in the show notes below the podcast.
Hello, it's Mark from Big Man in the Woods, and you're listening to the Original Outdoors podcast. How's that? Sweet.
Yeah, we've hitting it just nicely, aren't we? We've walked a few hundred metres up the mountain now. We're well into the snow level, and we're still walking without crampons, but it's sort of that soft, sugary, sort of slushy snow, so it's just providing enough grip. But you can see on the ground that other people have been using crampons. It's been quite a busy route, this, hasn't it, by the looks of it?
It looks like it. I think the sun's shining right down upon it now, so it's quite slushy and nice underfoot. But if this temperature dropped a couple of degrees, it would be a lot icier, and we'd have to have the crampons on then for sure. Yeah,
we've got a nice sunshine and blue skies. Nice.
That venticular cloud up there looks beautiful.
Yeah, we're just commenting on that, looking over the ridge that we're going to climb up. So, describing the scene in front of me, on the left I've got a small mountain lake, Llen, as we Welsh for lake. Yeah, once again, sorry for the Welsh pronunciations there. And then, looking from left to right, we've got the mountains off in the distance. We've got the edge of the Molwins and Connect and Morlwyn Mawr and things like that. And then the Rhynogs behind that, and maybe Cedar Idris, if we can see far enough. And then in the middle distance, we've got this ridge going from low on the left to high on the right. The summit's up on our right, just out of sight. This is a fantastic grade 1 scramble. So in UK mountaineering terms, that's just the point where you start to need to use your hands and think about where you're heading and moving over the rocks. So it's anything lower than that is just a rocky walk, and then the next level above that is a more technical scramble. So it's a perfect one for beginners. It's also a grade 1 winter climb, I think, in the right conditions.
Yeah, it's just not that condition, is it really?
No,
the ridge looks actually fairly sparse.
It's a scramble with snow either side rather than a winter climb at the moment. But, you take what you can. So we're just crossing what's normally quite a boggy section. But the snow's banked out in between all the heather and things, so hopefully we won't get wet, but we shall see. So earlier on we were saying that we'd asked some fans on Facebook and Twitter any questions they wanted me to ask Jason. We're trying to find out what you people want from the podcast, because we haven't got a clue. We're just recording things in the. So we're sat on a different rock now, on a different bit of snow with a different ice axe, and yeah, we're still recording in the one of the most beautiful studios I think we can record in.
This is lovely.
Yeah, out in the sun again.
Beautiful.
Yeah. A bit lower in the sky now, and I think the temperature's starting to drop in the shadows a bit. So
wind's picking up.
Yeah, we'll head down soon. So the questions we were asked.
Yep.
The first one was from Kevin. Hello, Kevin. He was asking for some advice on how to choose a winter rucksack or any recommendations, because there's so much out there. And he's right, you can walk into a gear shop and it's just quite literally a wall of different products and different versions and things. So what do you look for when you're choosing a rucksack for winter gear?
Hi, Kevin. I suppose the easiest way is to look at the rucksack I'm using now,
which is
so it's a low alpine Peak Attack, 35 litres, expands out to 45. So yeah, I like the colour. You know, I think that's pretty important. You've got to want to use it. Because of the extra kit that I'm carrying during the winter, axe, crampons, flask, making sure I've got extra warm layers. So I wanted a little bit more than what I would take out in the summer. I think I was using a Montane Medusa 32 for summer, but that was just a bit restrictive for those extra kind of 10 or 15 litres. Functionally, I don't want too much stuff on the outside because it will catch on things. So I've got some side straps where I can tuck an axe into. If I wanted to put technical axes, I could put them quite safely on as well. There's some good attachments. There's one buckle to be able to get into the lid or into the main compartment, and that's nice and big so that I can get it off with gloves. And just easy access. There's nice easy zips to use. Everything's kind of big so that I can get to it with gloves. It's not too big. You know, once you get it bigger, you're going to fill it with stuff. But this 35 to 45, I'm finding pretty perfect.
It's the main one big compartment thing I find. Sorry, one big compartment thing is something I tend to look for, particularly from a rucksack where I'm going to be using it in, as we say, manky weather or really horrible winds or very cold or poor visibility where you've got snow being blown at you. Because if you need to get something like get to your crampons or find your goggles quickly and put them on without having to faff around, and you don't want to put any gear down, I want something big enough that I can delve into and find something without taking anything out of the bag, or even worse, having different compartments within it. I want a big bucket sometimes that I can just throw everything into and get moving, rather than having, because you can get away with a sort of 25 litre bag for winter climbing if you pack everything exactly right, but sometimes you need to. I find that you're not going to have time to pack everything exactly neatly. Sometimes you've got to just put it in whichever way it goes and move down to a better location. Yeah,
you're right. And you know, once you consider that you may need some goggles, you may need a lay, you may need an extra pair of gloves. You know, some of these big gloves, like 3 glove days. You know, then you've got food and you've got drink. You know, you're not going to have an exact. You know, not everything's going to stay exactly the same. You just want to kind of pull it in, know what it feels like, grab it and use it, and that's it. So a couple of extra litres is great. And of course, making sure it fits. There's no point in having something that sits right below your arse and then rubs around and chafes and gets all nasty. So make sure it fits.
And if it fits properly on the waist, that tends to be the thing.
Yeah, very much so.
A mountaineering bag you take almost all the weight on the waist. The shoulder strap should be to stop it falling backwards.
Yeah, keep it balanced.
Yeah, not to take the weight of the rucksack, because that pulls on your shoulders and your chest, and then it pulls on your intercostal muscles, and it makes it harder to breathe when you're working hard.
Yeah. Which you will do. So I mean, I'm just literally looking at the rucksack that I use and the decision process that I went through. Some of these things are personal preference, but that's what I looked at.
Mine's slightly older. I think there's a newer version of this. This is the MacPack Ascent. I think this is a 50 litre, because they come in 3 different sizes. So this is about a 50 litre, whereas I've got some friends who can probably fit into this. You know who I'm talking about. It's quite a big bag, but it can be cinched down. It's something that's getting a bit old and battered now as well. I'm looking at this elastic bit that you're meant to hold crampons on the outside with. It's starting to fray, so that'll need replacing. But it's tough. It's designed to survive the New Zealand mountains, the New Zealand bush, sort of glacier crossings there and things like that. So it's very abrasion resistant. It's heavy. It's about 1.8 kilos empty. You know, so it's a big old beast, but it's also something I've modified. I've put these zips on the outside, so I can zip on external pouches on the outside, so I can turn it into a sort of a 80 litre bag. Or you can cinch it down and zip one over the other, so you can make it a much smaller bag. A very comfortable bag for me. The only thing against it is really the weight. I say it's quite heavy, and some of the straps are a bit long as well. I keep meaning to cut them shorter. Years ago, when I did my mountain leader assessment on the night navigation, I nearly lost an eye when this whipped round in the wind and whacked the folded over end of the strap, and the sharp bit hit me in the eye. And I'd lost that eye for the rest of the night then.
So you got nothing to worry about.
I don't know. So that's what I like, but this follows the principles of just one big main compartment and a lid compartment that's easy to get to, and I can find everything pretty quickly by feel rather than by sight. Other bags, I've got some Osprey bags. They're really good. They don't tend to last as long. The fabric's not as tough, I find, but they're really comfortable for me. Any others?
I've got the pod sack.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it. I love that, but that's I've used that generally a bit more sort of expedition-y. So I've got the Medusa 32 for smaller stuff, and I've got a Moel expedition bag that's like 65 to 85 litres, but that really is kind of big expedition, even like mountain rescue load type things. That's huge.
Yeah, that's Moel, so not to be confused with millets.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is
trying to get the pronunciation right.
Yeah, it's
millets.
French. It's Millet. It's a real Swiss-French mountaineering brand, isn't it?
It is very much so.
You see a lot over there on the continent.
Very alpine type stuff.
Yeah,
and,
you have to be of a certain waist width and height and sort of good looking to wear it properly. Really.
Thank you very much. Now I'm the exception. Yeah, I have to breathe in to be able to get the waist done.
So, Kevin, hopefully that's helped you a little bit. If not, you know how to get in contact with us through our Facebook page, facebook.com/Original Outdoors, or through our Twitter, which is twitter.com/Original Outdoor. Right, so on to the next question, which is from old friend and podcast contributor, Mike Reed. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Who has asked, are beards a valid and intrinsic part of the outdoor equipment, and should everyone have one? Well, I've got a beard.
I have a beard.
You've got a beard. Have you always had a beard for the last few years? Or?
No, I haven't. It was probably last summertime, and I'll tell you what, there were a couple of factors to it. Firstly, moving away from the corporate world where I had to shaving every day and having that appearance of suits and shirts and ties. So there's almost a step of rebellion away from that. There's finding beards quite a manly thing. Female influence of enjoying beards. The lumbersexual movement that's coming out. And also, really importantly, the bloody cost of razor blades is absolutely ridiculous. And when you suddenly think you're going through a couple of these things costing 22 quid, I actually thought to myself, you know what? Yeah, why not?
I did. I've had a beard on and off for the last 8 years or so. They're varying lengths, everything from sort of designer stubble right down to the full. You could probably grab onto it and pull. It's something. Hello.
Yeah.
It's something. Something I've. Sorry, just somebody walking past. He probably thinks we're a bit weird because we're recording a podcast in the middle of nowhere. Beards. It's something. Oh, so I think we're about to have a
jet
flyby by the RAF.
Buzz the tower.
Yeah. Hear that in the background?
Yes.
Yeah, a couple of BAE Hawks from RAF Valley and the fast jet training school there coming through as some of our regular visitors here in North Wales. Beards. I don't think it's necessarily a requirement, but it just does seem to make everything better.
Should we just say yes?
Yes,
it's a requirement.
It keeps my face. I have noticed it keeps my face warm because I notice it if I shave it off. I notice how cold my face is.
And you look like a 12-year-old boy.
I look like a 12-year-old boy, and it's just anyone can have a really rugged and manly chin profile with a beard. Ladies too, but without the beard, everyone can see how sort of horrible my chin looks and how sort of boyish and whereas I look like a real outdoors mountain man with the beard. So Mike, you do need that beard. And
does Mike have a beard?
He has a beard, and it goes again, and then he has to have it back again. So you do need a beard.
Mike, it's a requirement, buddy.
You got to have the beard. Okay, on to the next question, which is from Luca. Luca, hello, and
hello, Luca.
We have you asking if we've ever seen anything paranormal out in the hills, or had any paranormal experiences. Jason, you first.
Oh, yeah. In the hills,
or out in the outdoors generally, or anything.
No,
we'll take anything.
We'll take anything on this subject. Yeah, you know what? When I was young, I will profess to saying that I've seen a ghost of an old man. Well, at least I hope it was a ghost of an old man.
Not a yew tree.
Stood at the end of my bed. There's a long story that goes with that. So yeah, I do believe in paranormal activity, and I will say that I've seen a ghost. In the outdoors, no, I think it could be quite easily when you're out on your own while camping to convince yourself of various things, but I can't say aside of the stories of the old man of Ben McDooey and stuff like that, I don't think I know of any.
I mean, it's amazing when you're lying there in a tent what you can convince yourself what
Yeah,
a noise is.
exactly.
I've been in a camp and you can hear a badger running through the camp or something, and it sounds like a bear coming through.
Exactly.
The amount of noise it'll make. Or a sheep coughing in the night just sounds very much like a human going behind your tent, or a deer or something like that. So if you're not used to those noises, or if you're first starting out, sometimes some of the noises in the outdoors can be a little bit deceptive or put you on your guard. But someone told me years ago that to think about our brain has had, just as Homo sapiens sapiens, as this species, we've had over 200,000 years of development.
Yeah.
The bit where we've been living in cities and towns, in large communities of more than 50, 60 people, is the tiniest blip at the end of that timeline.
Yeah.
That our brains haven't really evolved to live in those places yet. So if you are getting that thing where you feel like you're being watched, or there's something, you just suddenly feel unsettled, and I'll be walking through there's certain parts of the forest near me that I know that I feel better in than others, and I think it's sometimes that sort of eerie experience that when you just suddenly on your guard, that's some part of your caveman brain waking up to, I don't know, a sort of an invisible threat, whether it's real or it's just your caveman brain still remembers that in these kind of places, that so you're in a dark woodland with not much sight line in any direction, you've got nowhere really to run to, and you can be stalked quite easily. That's
heightened senses.
Yeah, it's your brain's telling you, no, this is a dangerous place, you should watch out. Something, some giant wildcat or something is going to be, or some one of our older predators that we've mostly hunted to extinction could be out there following you. In terms of myself and paranormal experiences, I've had a few times staying in bothies actually. Which a bothy is sort of our version of a wilderness hut here in the UK.
Yeah.
So they're often sort of stone buildings that are out there in the mountains that are you're free to stay in. They haven't got any facilities really. Maybe a stove or... So the jets are going over again. That's the great thing about the wilderness, it's really busy.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's the second one.
So
Yeah, Chinooks, Apaches, Hawks, Eurofighters.
Yeah. So in bothies, I felt slightly uncomfortable in these places because you could be sat in this stone hut on your own, which is often an old cottage or a shepherd's cottage, or used to be somebody's home, and now it's just a place you can come and stay. And then they often have these books in them that you sign and say what your experiences of the bothy were. So whether there was any lots of mice last night, or couldn't get the fire lit, or something like that. And occasionally you hear one saying there was a knocking on the door every 3 hours all through the night, and that was 2 nights. And then you look in the book and that was 2 nights ago. You go, oh right.
So, I haven't seen that. I've seen the books, but I haven't seen anyone.
Dullin, the one in Caneva, has got a couple of the entries in there. So we've got a famous. There's a famous one which is Ben McDooey in Scotland.
That's right. Yeah.
Which is. Is it Amddiath Agmor or whatever it is? My Scots and Gaelic is even worse than my Welsh, unfortunately. But that has the Grey Man of Ben McDooey, which
That's
is.
what I think I call it, the old man, the Grey Man.
Yeah, it's
dude.
Which is a shape that's always sort of, you look back and it's just following you behind you, Yeti of Ben McDooey, but I don't think there's probably more evidence for a misty shape than there is for a Yeti.
Yeah, a misty shape. It's probably like Brock and Spectre.
Yeah, so nothing paranormal directly, but I felt uncomfortable enough to change where I'm going to camp that night, and things like that, or to move location, or to carry on walking, or not stop for lunch in a certain place. And I've sort of learned to trust that spidey sense, that tingle, because if I'm not comfortable somewhere, I'm not going to enjoy it either. So,
this is very true.
So I might as well just move on somewhere I feel better. Right, next question is from Helen. And hello, Helen.
Hello, Helen.
She's come on a few of our courses. Helen's she's into canoeing. She's a canoe guide and
things.
So she wants to know what are recommendations for finding somewhere to camp. So what do we look for? So what do you look for when you're looking for, say, you're going to wild? If you're wild camping tonight, somewhere out here, what would you be looking for?
Looking at weather conditions mainly, wind speed, precipitation percentages, and then if it's going to be a bit howling, I want to make sure I'm going to find myself a nice protected coombe somewhere.
So coombe being a sort of a circular valley, a corrie or a cirque.
Yeah. Just make sure I'm protected. Make sure there's water source as well. Make sure that there's flat ground. Shelter, protection, water, somewhere flat, protected. Those are kind of the key things that I'll think about, really. And then just, there's the more local conditions around, any water coming down from above. Am I going to wake up in a puddle? If it rains overnight, the water level's going to raise and end up being soaked. Yeah. Flat, comfortable, protected.
Yeah, for me, I tend to think about what the conditions are at the moment. So you say the rainfall, precipitation, wind direction, that sort of thing. So if I can avoid those and get out of the wind, then it's going to be a better night. But I also try and think about if everything goes to the worst it could possibly be. So the river levels rise, or there's an avalanche on the slope behind me, or that sort of thing. What's going to happen? Is my tent going to be protected while I'm sleeping soundly in the night?
With snow conditions in mind, a couple of days previous weather conditions are really important as well. So
particularly if even more so if you're snow holing or something like that. You don't want to be snow holing in the middle of a big melt or anything like that, where the snow conditions are degrading every day.
Yep.
Because the questions we always ask our interview guests. So what we started asking, which is, Jason, which 5 items can we generally find in your outdoor kit for your activities? Doesn't have to be every single time, but which 5 items do you generally make sure? I always pack that.
Yeah, I will always have my phone.
Yep.
Communication. I know phone reception is erratic, but it's always going to be with me. I'm always going to have map and compass. Even here, these areas that I know inside out and upside down. You can quite easily become disorientated when the weather turns around. So there are numerous times when I've had to stop, relocate, take a bearing, move on, even though I know areas really well. Is map and compass 1, or does that count as 2?
It's 1.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't cheat and have that as 2. So we're up to 2 now. Phone and map and compass.
Yeah. I'm going to say, how do I call it? Relevant to the seasonal conditions. So if it's hot and sunny, then make sure I've got extra fluid, or know where there's water en route, or I'm just going to take extra fluid, and sun cream. Mm-hmm. If it's winter, extra layers. So seasonal kit relevant to the day. Is that one thing?
Yeah, that's one thing, yeah.
What else have I got in my bag? First aid. I've got first aid split into 2, but I'll still call it one thing. So stuff that's more trauma related at the bottom, and an ouch pouch at the top with Compeed. And
do you use an off-the-shelf kit, or have you made up your own?
It's made up myself. The off-the-shelf stuff, they're all right, but they're pretty expensive, and they're pretty comprehensive, but they cost a lot of money. Yep. But if you can look on the internet, you can go to Active First Aid website, and they give you some good indications about what's good, and you can just go and piece it to yourself. You can pick up things from Tesco's or local chemists. So I've pieced it together myself. It's maybe a bit more comprehensive than you may want for just personal walk-in, because it's got a few extra bits in. So first aid, and I'll always have a group shelter with me. Again, it's that just in case. It weighs nothing. It will give a lot if it's actually needed. So I'm just thinking, can I deal with stuff on the day? Can I get myself out of problems if I've got it? Can I deal with a situation if it arises? And can I keep myself in good order to make myself fit for the job that I've got and not be a problem for anyone else? So that's how I'm kind of thinking about it.
Okay, so we're up to now.
And communicate, that's 5.
That's 5, we're 5.
Yes!
We made it! Hey!
You know what, the pressure's off now.
Yeah.
I feel
well,
right.
no, because I've got another question to ask.
Oh no!
The last one, which is something we were asking for, what should we ask our guests? And one of the questions that came up with was what can you give us any people any tips that if they don't live in places like us, and we're lucky to live as we do, so where the outdoors are not only our playground but it's also our office?
Yeah.
Can you recommend a good way for people who maybe live in the city, or they've got families and young families so they can't get out as often as we do? Is there a way they can get out and connect with the outdoors, or some ideas? Or how would you, if one of your friends came to you and said, look, how can I live a bit more like you without having to move to North Wales?
Yeah. There's probably 3 or 4 responses to that. I mean, there's going to be the professional head that says that you can go and use a guide or a mountain leader to help you get to the spots that you want to get to in a quick, simple and safe way.
So that's
paid expertise. You can join a club.
Yep.
So there are some really good mountaineering, climbing, biking clubs that will help organise these things and give you access to information and people with other skills. There's the good old-fashioned organise your time, get together with friends, book your holiday time and just come out. The problem with that is you're going to be reliant on a bit of the weather that's going on as well. But the cheaper way, the way that I've done it, is connect with friends. There's Facebook pages that are out there as well. So sites that will bring people of a common interest together, and they're always organising things. You can then share fuel and share the load.
So you won't be the only people looking to try and get into the outdoors more. There's lots of people in the same boat.
There are, yeah, very much so. Yeah, very much so. There are some great clubs that are out there. Just have a look on the internet, and I appreciate times are your money's tight and time's tight. So get in touch with the club, get on the Facebook sites, have a look around, connect with other people. Don't be afraid to get an email out there or pop a message in and just say, here's what I'm thinking. What I find is that people of the outdoors in general, and that isn't just mountaineering or climbing or biking, it's just people that want to adventure, are very up for sharing information, sharing lifts. Everybody wants to try and reduce the cost or help share the adventure and the experience, share the load of navigating or planning. So just give it a go. Don't be afraid to ask the questions.
Something really good answers. Something that was popping to my mind then was a conversation I had with somebody a few years ago who was asking a similar question. They saying that they haven't really they've got a busy job and they live in the city, they live in London, and getting out to North Wales or to anywhere with hills or anything like that it's their once or twice a year trip. It's not something they can do every weekend, so they're going to the climbing wall, but that's not the same. And they're reading on Facebook and they're watching they're reading stories on Facebook and they're watching YouTube channels and all sorts, but they don't feel they're really getting it. And the thing I recommended to them was go to Waterstones or go to any bookshop and find not a foraging guidebook or anything like that, but find a plant and tree identification guidebook or something like that. Go to one of the local parks. I think I sent to Richmond Park in it because that was the nearest one, and just try and see how many things you can identify. Get on your hands and knees on the grass. Some of the parks in London you don't want to kneel everywhere, but make sure start to try and identify some of the more common trees and things you're finding, or even the birds. Last time I was in London, we were wandering through high.
That's right. Park,
and I was amazed how many parakeets were.
But you know what? There's
these escaped domestic birds that have.
Adventure isn't just going out on the mountains. Adventure is what you want to make it. And I don't know if there's a guy called Al Humphreys.
Micro Adventures. Yeah.
And that is a cracking book. And you are in London or the big cities. You can get on a train, go for 2 stops, find somewhere to wild camp out there. By a lake, in a wood. And that almost fuels your sense, and it keeps you connected to the adventure, away from the desk, away from your laptop, away from the monitor, and that then will keep you going until you get those bigger adventures of the long weekends or the weeks in North Wales. You could go to the Lake District, but quite frankly, North Wales is a lot better.
Yeah. It's important I think it's important if you can't get out every weekend and you can't do it. It's important to fill your life with moments at least. When it's now 11 o'clock on a Monday morning and the memory of the weekend is drifting away from you. To be able to have something you can just stop for 20 seconds and just close your eyes and remember what it was like to be, I don't know, stood on Beachy Head or something like that and looking out over the sea.
Absolutely.
Which was only a day or so before and didn't take a huge effort to get to. It was only a train ride away. Try and find the adventures that are nearby. You don't have to go big. Sometimes you can go local and get more value out of it.
I've seen some absolutely amazing videos and I think some of them were built around Al and the micro adventures. Rather than call them the 9 to 5, it's the 5 to 9. It's the finishing work. You've already got a rucksack packed. Jump on the train, jump in a kayak around the coastline, sleep on a beach, kayak back round again, have a little swim, cook on a fire, get back on the train, go to work. And that is it. Adventure is what you're willing to put into it and go and get out. And you've got to plan it, you've got to research it. But that's half the fun. Yeah. Half of the fun is in the planning and getting excited. Then you've got the fun of doing it, and then you've got to plan something else, quick enough time so that you don't lose that memory and just get sucked into kind of every day.
Like what we've done today is sort of thing that people might save up the year for, to be able to afford a B&B for the weekend and come and do 2 days of this and then travel back home, and that's their holiday for the year. Yeah. And we're lucky enough to have done this kind of on a day off. We both got appointments this afternoon. Yeah. And we just squeeze this in, and it's almost incidental to us, but it's nice for us to step back and sort of remember what it's like to not live this lifestyle and to try and find adventures in your own front door.
Very,
in the city,
very much so. And involve your friends, involve your family. Don't just leave that secluded one-person adventure. It could be, grabbing the kids, getting them out on the scooters, having a competition about which trees you can look at and types of leaves and animals. Geocaching. It can be, as involved or inclusive as you want to make it. Yeah. So please do adventure, and then, we look forward to seeing you up in North Wales.
Absolutely. Right, well, and what's next for you? What are you doing in the next few days?
Next few days, well, I've got to go and have an appointment at the hospital to deal with a running repair. Yeah. Which should get...
Most of the outdoor people, Jason's falling apart.
Got running.
we all are, yeah.
I got some running repairs to deal with, and I'm at the moment very heavily involved with bringing
the big project.
Bringing the Llanberis Mountain Film Festival back to Llanberis, North Wales.
What date's that?
That's going to be the 6th to the 8th of March, and we have a wonderful array of speakers and films and fringe events like competitions and workshops. So you can have a look at the website, which is www.lamff.co.uk, LLAMFF.
Llanberis Adventure Mountain Film Festival or something, isn't
it? Llanberis Mountain Film Festival. You can have a look for it on Google as well, or just send me an email. And but definitely, because there will be all sorts of adventurous, it's not just climbing, it is an adventure festival. So there are inspirational women talking, there's climbers talking, there's people that have rode oceans, people that have kayaked around Greenland. It's a very fun.
So how does it work with tickets and things? Do you just buy one ticket and you go to everything, or do you buy tickets per show?
There is a VIP ticket which gives you entry to the opening night on the Friday, the world famous pub quiz on the Friday, and the closing party. You also get a goodie bag worth over £50 of goods in there. Wow. And the VIP ticket is £35, so you're getting almost £100 worth of stuff.
And I know they've almost sold out now. That you've got to move quickly to get those.
You've got to move quick because they're pushing towards selling out. There's still a few left, and then you decide on really what you want to do, because there's lots of concurrent things. So there's people talking at the Beacon Climbing Centre. There's then stuff that's going on in the Electric Mountain, which is the hub of our activity. So you then pick and choose, and ticket prices can be between £5 and £12. So it's pick and choose, and then there are guided walks happening on the Saturday. There's a climbing masterclass. There's a mountain biking service. It's like service your bike workshop going on. Yeah.
Oh, that's with the framed bicycle.
The frame guys, Chris and Alex. So we wanted to include the community, so they had the opportunity to promote their businesses and start to churn some revenue from it. But most importantly, so everyone feels included in bringing back this festival.
Because it's great, because at Llanberis, if you haven't been, its industry was the slate mines, and the slate quarries on the side of the mountain.
Back in the day.
And it was sort of fell into a slump, and then being where it was, situated amongst some of the best climbing in the world, it's gradually reborn as an adventure sports capital of Wales, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, very much so. And the last festival was 4 years ago, and my good friend Ross Worthington of Raw Adventures and Climb Snowdon asked me to support him to give them a business from the business aspect as well. So I'm absolutely delighted with the shape that it's taken. Most importantly, how the local community is supporting the delivery of this, and that we've got a sustainability of the festival in mind as well. So we're not just delivering this one-off. We have a plan that's going to support it through the next 3-5 years as well.
Yeah, it's it's something I can't wait for. I'm after looking at the dates. I don't know whether I can get to everything, but the Greenland one is something I really want to get to.
Ollie Saunders is delivering. He's doing a Saturday and a Sunday, so should be able to. We've got him for both days.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll get onto the website, have a look at what you want to do. Those VIP tickets really are worth it because you save a lot of money and you get some gear as well.
Yeah. I mean, the goodie bag's got stuff from DMM in there. It's got copies of Adventure Travel magazine, Climb magazine. There's water bottles, hand warmers, vouchers off, and massive discounts as well if you want to buy some kit along the Llanberis High Street. So yeah, very full goodie bag. Very, very pleased and very proud of how everyone's stepped up to help us.
Good. It shows real community spirit, and this is why. It's again why we live in North Wales.
Very much so. Yeah. Very much so. And we hope you can all come along.
Yeah. Thank you very much for joining us today, Jason.
No worries. Thank you.
We're both going to walk back down to the valley now, and we might go and annoy previous podcast contributor Nick Livesey.
I think we should.
I think we should go and annoy Nick.
I think we should go and annoy Nick. He wants us to.
I think he does. Yeah. So, Jason?
Yes.
Big moment. How can people find out about you and what you do and get involved in some of your adventures?
Okay, so my website is www.jrmountaineering.com. And then you can email me if you wish, and please do ask me any questions, and I'll happily give you my thoughts. And that is info@jrmountaineering.com. You can connect with me on Facebook, Jason Rawles, surname spelled Rawles, or you can find me Twitter @Jason Rawles.
Instagram as well?
Instagram, I'm on there as JR Mountaineering. But you'll generally find that if you can connect with me on one of those social media forums, you'll get the rest. You know this, Richard, you know this.
Yeah. But thank you so much for downloading and listening to this podcast. Without you guys supporting us, then there would be no reason to do the podcast. We've hit over 10,000 downloads before the last episode, and we're just rocketing up now. January and February so far have been really busy for the podcast. We're quite big in Finland, apparently. So,
hello, Finland.
Hello, Finland, yeah. If you're from Finland, just come and drop us a line on Facebook. I want to know why you like us so much, because it goes beyond me. But yes, everything we talked about in the podcast, there'll be links to it on the podcast show notes page, which you can find through originaloutdoors.co.uk, and it's going to be on the thing on iTunes, on the notes there, and links underneath the YouTube video if you look there. So no excuse not to get on and find what we've been talking about. So until next time, you can get in touch with us through originaloutdoors.co.uk, our website, or through our email address, adventures@originaloutdoors.co.uk. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/originaloutdoors, and twitter.com/originaloutdoor. That's without the S, because that's too many characters apparently. So once again, that's it. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, and we shall see you next time.
Take care.
Bye.
Happy adventures.
Happy adventures. Bye.